Coming soon on social medias, it's S-Class. Coming soon on social medias, it's S-Class. So what's the level? Like a bottle of chibuku?
Like a bucket.
To my nature, I criticize on social media. Yeah, I think I'm good at that when it comes to social media. That's why I really like spending most of my time in social media.
Buli lwenywa kunjaga eyo nemba sina sente ntulaali nendooza.
Coming soon on social medias, it's S-Class.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation on the short notice.
Thank you so much.
So you can easily tell us more of what you do, because I would have not done the proper way of introducing you. Can easily tell us what you do at FIDA.
Thank you, Sam. The bit of introduction of when we started, how long we've been here. FIDA has been here for over 40 years, and FIDA is a non-state organization that is a pool of women lawyers. I will make sure that I use the simplest terms to make sure that we all appreciate who FIDA is. And it brings together a number of lawyers, but the female lawyers, who are under that same umbrella, that membership. And our biggest role is to offer legal services to women and children who are in need of the same, and it's all pro bono that we do. And you said when you mentioned FIDA, the men get scared. Actually, it's not proper that they get scared, because all that we do is for the good of the woman and the child, and the moment a woman and the child are okay, it's most definite that the man will also be fine. And we do receive a number of clients from different angles. Our secretariat is here in Imbuya, in Kampala, but we have a number of offices regionally. We have in the east, in the west, and in the north. We equally have offices there. We have offices in Kamuli. We have offices in Mbale, we have offices in Moroto, we have offices in Kabale, we have offices in I've mentioned Mbale, yes, and in the west, yes, we have in Kabale.
So you guys have covered the whole country?
It's like we've covered the whole country. It's our desire that we actually are in every district. But because of limited resources, we find ourselves in regions whereby those offices serve the different districts that surround that specific regional office. We have offices in Gulu, and we do serve quite a number of the northern districts within those offices.
Thank you so much for that brief explanation of what FIDA does and where you can easily find FIDA in different regions of Uganda. And I want to know more what do you understand about gender-based violence to the way you see it in Uganda? What is gender-based violence on your side?
Okay, to our side as FIDA, we still define gender-based violence as the international instruments define it, as the local instruments define it, or the national instruments define it. But the basic understanding of it, gender-based violence is used interchangeably with violence against women. So you realize that in most cases, if one doesn't say gender-based violence, they will say violence against women. And when we are looking at the forms of either gender-based violence or violence against women, it will still come back to the same. So it's basically an umbrella term that is used for the inequalities that are meted against women, just because they are women. The power differences between women and men. You know, the stronger you are, the more power you have. So the power that men possess, that is given to them culturally, traditionally, socially, is what is used against the women just because they are women, and in that way quite a number of abuses take place. And at the end of the day, just because they are meted against women because of the nature of a woman, so that you will end up realizing that it is gender-based violence, because it's violence that is meted upon the women just because they are women. And that's when you'll see that it is violence against women, and words will still be the same.
So when you talk about women, that means men don't always experience the thing of gender-based violence?
We cannot rule out the fact that men do experience gender-based violence as men, but the percentage of the experience is more pronounced on the side of the women. And even the statistics that you will read about in social media, in the papers, in everything, do actually not, they do not actually bring out the facts or the real cases of gender-based violence, because most of them go unreported. The men who will come out to report are equally very few, though even those that come up don't come up from a very big number of men who experience gender-based violence.
But because recently when I was asking men, actually before I asked people and men more so of FIDA, what they were think of FIDA, and men were saying yes, when we were talking about gender-based violence, then they were saying for men they don't always report. Like if his right has been violated, for him he will stay at home and says, my wife, how will people know, community hear me saying my wife has been beating me or my rights have been violated? He won't go to report police or come to anywhere to report or to go even to the hospital. He will suffer psychologically. And we are looking at it when we sexual gender-based violence, most of the percentage of women was very high. Then when it came to violence, the thing of beating up people, and the percentage of men was quite high than that one of women.
As in men being beaten?
Yeah, more than the women.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I had a caliphate from Minister of Gender. Okay. Yeah, that was their research, and I want to know more if somebody has been, because they are saying that very many cases have been left out and people have been not reported. Like you are saying, the things are not tallying. That's not the right information, or very many people are still on the ground who right now being violated and they're not reporting. And I want to know more what FIDA do to get these cases.
Okay, I'll just take us back to where you started, talking about sexual violence, and then you related it to other forms of violence. Probably for us to appreciate this much better, let us look at a few of these forms of gender-based violence. We know that gender-based violence will take a form of sexual abuse. And in this, yes, it is true that there are situations where men have been sexually abused by women, depending on the circumstances, and the abuse that men will look at is more in terms of denial of conjugal rights. And if you remember so well, FIDA, we were at the helm of fighting for the inclusion of the marital rape clause into the bill, the marriage and divorce bill, which most men were against. And in terms of sexual violence, that is where men figure it out, like when they are denied sex by their wives, they're being sexually abused. And yet, for us, we look at it in terms of men who might not consider circumstances under which the women deny them sexual intercourse. You find that we get so many cases where a woman will come and tell you, I can no longer continue in this relationship. Even when I'm in my periods, the man is demanding to have sexual intercourse with me. For us as women, that is a period when you're really not that clean, and you wouldn't want even your own sister to know or even see what is happening to you at that moment, and the man is demanding for that. And then you find circumstances where women have just given birth,
Yeah.
and before a person fully heals, a man is demanding for sexual intercourse. It is not right, and you know, sex is psychological.
Yeah.
So if someone is not psychologically prepared, getting them into sexual intercourse is really an uphill task for this person who is not ready for it. And instead of enjoying it, it actually inflicts pain on them.
Yeah.
It might not be physical pain, but the psychological pain this woman will go through. And then looking at Uganda today, where tables seem to have turned all of a sudden, and we are realizing that women unknowingly have taken over the role of men, where women have become the providers.
That's very true.
For the families, where women have become the sole fenders of their families. You find a woman has to work to pay fees, pay rent, buy food, take children for treatment, do everything that a man used to do in the olden days. It is now currently the women. You're going to find that women are running even onto the streets. We are seeing so many women who are street vendors. And when you try to interview them, they will tell you, I have 3 children, I have school fees to pay, I have this and that. The man abandoned me with these children in the house. Or he is in the house, but he doesn't provide anything. So a woman in that state, who has to think about food, fees, medical, and everything, has worked from 4 in the morning up to probably 10 in the night when everyone, and she's made sure that everyone else has gone to bed, has now had time to enter bed, and that is the time when the man is demanding for sex. Honestly speaking, the body is tired. The body is tired, and it's negative. It won't respond as it ought to respond. So you will find that that bit of sexual violence, you've seen women who have been kidnapped, raped, and probably murdered. You've seen that happen in Uganda. That's all gender-based violence. And you know that sex in itself is a war weapon. When someone wants to fight against the other person, the easiest means to do it, even if it's a government against another government, the easiest way they will do it is through holding captives of sex who are women. So that's why you will see most of this happening. And when you talk about physical violence being meted mostly on men, I haven't been able to get a hold of the research and probably to appreciate where it comes from. But the many clients we do receive in FIDA, it's mostly that when they will admit that, yes, he says, I beat him, but I beat him in defense. He was beating me so much. So women will fight back in self-defense. Women, and one thing that probably our viewers might need to know is the fact that naturally, and this could be in the mind as well, a woman was created weaker sex than a man, as in physically. But this is not true for everyone. There are women who are stronger than men. And the assumption of some men that they are stronger than the women is probably wrong. So you will find a man who thinks that all issues in a home must be settled with physical weight. So they want to fight this woman. They want to beat the woman for them to be respected. They want to beat the woman for them to be understood. So at the end of the day, these women who come in and they will admit that, yes, I beat this man, they will tell you, it's because he had beaten me so many times. And I realized the only way out was to hit him back. That is, as per our records, those that might come up and they say, yes, I beat, but majority have actually not been physically violent. Rather, they have been abused physically. It is the men, the other way around actually with us. You get a woman who comes in with a swollen face, a broken arm, a fractured leg, a twisted neck, lost teeth. They've been beaten in a home by their own husbands.
And if I may ask, does this violence always happen when these kids are watching?
You will believe me. And actually, even the viewers probably will admit, for those who can say yes, in most cases, these violations happen in the eyes of the children. A father is beating up a mother, the children are watching and are crying, they can't help. Or a father is locking out a mother, the children are in the house, locked in with their father, and the woman is outside. Or the other way around, probably it's now the woman in self-defense, so that I'm not beaten. She is in the house, locking the man out to prevent him from getting into the house, to beat her or do anything. The children are watching all this as it happens. And in some cases, we've had women who have been forced into sexual intercourse by their husbands in the presence of the children. All those sorts of abuses we have seen, we have recorded, we have handled, and yes, it all happens. However, what I wanted just to also not forget about the twist of violence against women in the country currently is the high rate of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment, which is not rape, which is not defilement, where someone hasn't actually had physical sex with you, but is sexually harassing you. Like someone maybe texting you messages that you don't like. We recently heard about the MP who was sexually harassed by a student. Look at that age difference. In that, we need to go back to, sometimes I think we need to go back to where our lives began from, our great-great-great-grandfathers, where a woman's body was sacred. It was really meant for her husband. And anyone else looking at that body, trying to touch that body in a manner that is inappropriate, was sinful, and it was looked at as an omen that is being brought upon by that specific person into the family. But here you are today, you get WhatsApp. It's very common now. Someone sending nude pictures of themselves, of their private parts. We get clients
I think that
in that manner.
It's mostly in adolescents. Is it also?
No.
Sure.
It's not only in adolescents. It even cuts across people who are above their 30s. Yes, we have, you get a 40-something-year-old man sending his nude pictures to probably a 20-year-old girl, 30-year-old woman, and is having all sorts of suggestive comments. The wordings are like, you know, this is what I feel. When you look at me, what you feel. But if I am not interested in you, honestly speaking, your nude pictures are completely apoptotic. And you're sexually harassing me. If you continuously even do that, even one act of that disgusting act is harassment. But people do not see that. You've seen, we've had so many nude links, jilted lovers sending out pictures of women with whom they had probably a good relationship at one point, but because it has gone sour, like to get back at them, someone sends out the pictures.
Someone releases the picture of a video,
which definitely puts down the image of this woman. It belittles her to that extent, and I think people who do such things definitely are cowards. But in a way, they are violating the right to privacy of this woman. The time that this happened was just between the two of you, made for the two of you. But if you put it out for public consumption, definitely it's not good. And cyber crimes, you know, we've had people on Facebook. We've seen girls who have been even taken on Facebook, used, raped, and then murdered. You've seen all those. The trend has actually changed in Uganda. It might no longer be this physical rape, though it is still happening. You remember the murders that
were taking place
all over Uganda.
Killing of women.
Are you hearing the kidnaps that are still taking place and women are being murdered? That is all violence against women. It's all violence against women that probably government might need to now refocus and rethink of strategies to protect the women much more or even better. You've heard about sexual harassment in Makere.
Yes.
It's a lot going on in higher institutions.
By lecturers.
Yes, by lecturers.
Yeah.
And by the way, for your own information, even some female lecturers have been harassed by male students. But because I am, like we said, most of these incidences go unreported. They're not talked about so often. And sometimes, or actually not even sometimes, you've seen this culture of victim blaming, where the victim of sexual harassment is blamed for being harassed.
Sure.
You've not
Does it happen?
Very much. It does happen. And I think it's the commonest reason as to why the victims of violence shy away, the female victims of violence shy away from reporting. Because there was a statement made by one of our ministers here who said for him, he thinks and feels it would be right if a woman is raped, investigations should begin from how she was dressed at the time of the rape. If this woman was found indecently dressed, then instead of prosecuting the perpetrator, this woman should actually be put behind bars.
Why?
And accused of indecent dressing that caused her own rape. So, I mean, I'm trying to show you how bad the situation is. We're talking about a minister here. We are talking about a member of parliament who said women should be beaten, if you recall so well that.
I remember that one.
Yes, you remember that very well.
I remember that one.
And now the most recent one of this honorable who was sexually harassed by a young boy, a young man or young boy, whatever he might be, a student, moreover, a student that could even probably qualify to be her own son. You heard how much people talked.
Yeah.
You saw some members of parliament saying it is normal for women to be conned, but it's not normal for women to be conned by anyone.
Actually, what I remember, some were taking him as a hero. Because I was watching it over news. And
very good. Now you see, that's what I'm trying to say. That victims of violence, the women victims of violence, have actually been turned out to be victimized the more by what people say, by what people look at them to be, and many of the women, after watching such, do you think that they will be harassed or abused and they come out to speak? Do you think it will be easy for them to come out and speak?
I think few will come
Don't
out.
you think this kind of situation is actually fueling more and more abuses against women and letting the perpetrators do all that they want with a lot of impunity?
Definitely.
Confidence and comfort that they will get away with it, that the public will side with them, that the public will second their acts. Definitely they will do that. And that's why you see violence against women or gender-based violence in Uganda, it's hard to fight it, despite the very many good laws that we have in this country.
Which are not implemented.
The implementation becomes a problem. The implementation becomes a problem. And even given the fact that now, like the justice system, gender-based violence cases are looked at like any other normal cases that come through. Someone has been raped, or a child has been defiled.
Yeah.
You keep bringing them back and forth in court, taking them in and out. Witnesses disappear. The more they are ridiculed around court premises and pointed at, and that's the child that was defiled, that woman was raped, the more they feel uncomfortable to continue with the cases. That's why FIDA pioneered the establishment of special courts to handle specifically gender-based violence cases. And it's still in the pipeline. It's still like being nurtured to see. There were some test cases that were handled in the north, and they were very successful, where full house, having the victim, the witnesses, and everyone attending court, because they were given special attention. It is clear that if this initiative is given strength, and especially by government, picked on by government, and given strength, the strength that it deserves, to have those special courts set aside, days set aside, judicial officers to handle these cases trained fully, the state attorneys empowered and trained, then you have the police that are fully empowered and trained in handling gender-based violence cases, that's when we shall realize the implementation of these laws. We have so many good laws. We have the Domestic Violence Act. We have the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act. We have the Prohibition in Trafficking of Humans. That act is there. We have quite a number of laws. Even the Constitution itself, of course, has provisions that protect women's rights and look at gender equality. But all those are let down by the systems, by the attitudes. I personally look at the gender-based violence issue as an attitude problem that we have in Uganda.
I can also accept that. Then they have these issues whereby, I personally grew up in a market, and we always saw very many market vendors, and there are these ladies who always move with chai stuff in the market, and sometimes are always their bodies are being touched by these men.
True.
Is that also a form of violence?
Yes, it is sexual harassment. And why don't they touch their heads? Why do they touch the bums?
Yeah.
Why do they touch the breasts? Why do they touch the waists? The most sensitive parts of a woman's body.
Yeah.
Why don't you, okay, if I have plaited hair like this, why don't you just say, send me tea, and you tap the hair? Why do you go for the bum? Why do you go for the breasts?
But don't you think
it's intended?
Don't you think these women they also don't report? They just rough and.
Now, it's do you know why they laugh? I've talked about our system. And I have told you about even members of parliament who were screened on TV saying it is normal for a woman to be conned. It is normal, it is the right of a man to con a woman. But there's an artist, is a Munyankole. I tend to forget her name. But she has a very beautiful song which says that we know it very well, we as women, that a female at the end of the day is meant for a male, like a partner, a male. However, you can never have a weaver bird conning, let's say, sheep. Those are two different things. That's a weaver bird. It should go for weaver birds. This is sheep. Should be taken on by sheep. So really, when you look at I'll still use the example of our member of parliament at her age, with the age that was put out, and someone who is barely 24, around there, like almost half the age of the member of parliament, sincerely speaking, it's belittling.
That's very true.
And these women that you talk about whose bodies are touched, this is a woman who is surviving on hawking that tea. And probably these are her clients that she has to serve. So if she goes ahead and reports, yet society has it in mind that the woman's body is meant for the pleasure of a man. So if she goes and reports, it will turn out to be, look at her.
Why did she have to report?
Why did she have to report? She will be ridiculed. She will be victimized. Men will reject her tea. And actually, for your information, even some women will go ahead to reject her tea. So at the end of the day, the woman will be like, if I have to get a coin for school fees for my children, I let go, but don't think that they really enjoy that.
In the market, even in bars, drinking places,
even in taxi parks, just walk along the street,
and
you will be tapped, and then you will hear men say, "It's because of the way you dress." I mean, yes, it's because of the way you dress that men are touching your bum. The men, it's so tight, it's so this, and you know, a woman's body today in Uganda has been reduced to a sex object. That if it's not fully covered, to them, it's up for sexual intercourse. So whoever wishes, if it's not fully covered, it's exposed for that purpose. But that is not the truth. Because even then, even if people will say the way women dress these days, we have seen so many sister Muslims of ours who cover their heads, including the faces. You will never even see the shoe they are wearing. Some of them even go to the extent of having gloves on. Basically, even the part that would say, okay, we've seen the eyes, they always have that transparent veil that covers the eyes. They are still victims of sexual violence.
For these ones, does it happen from the community, from home, or even like
actually, what we have to know is that violence against women or gender-based violence happens in all spheres. It happens in all spaces, be it private, be it public spaces. We have seen this happen in homes where domestic violence, being one of the forms of gender-based violence, is so common and rampant in this country, where we've seen women abused in their homes in different ways, economically, sexually, psychologically, physically. Then we have seen cases of gender-based violence in workplaces, sexual powers.
I personally give a scenario whereby a friend of mine, like, she was married with a kid, then she was working in a certain place, then the boss started vibing her, and when she said no, I think it had went for quite long, because I didn't start talking with her, what happened, like, why are you not sometimes going for work? Then she told me that the boss is disturbing her, and I was like, doesn't the boss know that you are married with even a kid? And then she told me, the man knows that I have a husband, knows my husband, they are friends. But the man is still insisting on me. And for me, I told her, maybe you still wait and maybe you get another job as well for plan B. And she was like, no, Sam, this is becoming too much on my side. I can't stand this anymore. Then to my side, for a man, for me, I say like something easy, which you can easily deal with.
It's
then
not some.
Within a week, she quitted the job.
It's the hardest thing to deal with. There is no discomfort that comes more beyond the discomfort of your boss sexually demanding, and you have to deliver. You're not interested in him. You just know that your job is at his mercy. He can choose to fire you, retain you, demote you, promote you, depending. That's why you see, we've seen cases of women who have actually fallen victims of job hunting in that manner, whereby it is their bodies used to get them the jobs. Not because it's what they want. Look at our economy currently. Someone will just have to give in and say, you know what, I need a job, let me do this. I need a promotion, I've been here, let me just do this. But it is very, very uncomfortable. And if you've had, okay, now going away from the office space, just go like to the tax park.
Yeah.
And you hear discussions. I'm going to use Uganda. Muveko yo mukazi mufumbo.
Yeah.
You get the response. Baba muchifurukwa. Meaning that men do not even respect the marriage institution. They will still come for the women, even when they know that they are married. And let me tell you, the more you demand a relationship, intimate relationship with a married woman who is not interested in you, you're harassing her. Psychologically, you're torturing her. You understand?
I'm trying to understand.
I know it's becoming for you.
It's like, I don't get it.
Like a hard rock to digest.
So if you're harassing a married woman, like?
If you're demanding for an intimate relationship with a woman who is telling you, I am married, and you're insisting, what do you expect? You want her to have the two of you. And it's not possible. It's not possible for her. She's telling you, I can't handle you with my husband.
And sometimes men don't admit.
And men will not admit.
Yeah.
And sometimes they will not even accept that what you're telling them is the truth. But the more you do it, the more it becomes harassment on the side of the woman.
So do you think that these people need to be sensitized, like most of the men? That
Of course they need to.
Do they know that these things?
Men know. By the way, most men know that whatsoever they do is wrong, but they feel it is their right to do it. Yes.
Then I don't know where you are going.
Men know. They will know that it is bad, but they will tell you it is my right. If I have married her, for example, if she is my wife, then I have all rights over her. I paid cows for her. Then she has to do what I demand.
But that's very true. If the man paid, why don't you?
No. Marriage is a union of two adults.
Yeah.
Meaning that there has to be mutual understanding. There has to be respect between the two people. And that's why you see in Uganda currently we are having very, very high rates of divorce. Because people fail to appreciate one another. One thinks, I have an object in this marriage, and another person thinks, I have a partner. A woman thinks, I have a partner in this marriage. A man thinks, I have an object in this marriage.
I thought that divorce happens because people get tired of them, each other.
Now, that word of tired, getting tired, by the time you get tired, that means there is a pile of a number of issues behind that.
It doesn't just come out.
It doesn't just come one day. And like you were saying, for us as FIDA, what we do when we receive such women who have been abused, either sexually, physically, depending on the circumstances under which we get them, some come to our offices, they do come directly.
We are going to go for a short commercial break. We are going to come back and get the causes and get to know what FIDA do for this problem, the victims of gender-based violence, most of the women. After a short commercial break, we are going to be back. Thank you so much. To be live on Fridays. Then shortly, we are also going to change our logo to something else. Very soon you are going to realize some changes, and very many things are still coming up. Remember, today we are having Rhona from FIDA-Uganda, and she's a senior legal officer from FIDA-Uganda, and she's telling us more of what GBV is in Uganda. And they are saying that the rate of GBV, more so sexually, is very, very high when it comes to sexual gender-based violence against women, and men are the trouble cause of it. And before we went to a break, we are going to discuss, we said we are going to talk more of the causes and what FIDA has done to fight or end gender-based violence in Uganda. Then, Rhona, I want you to take us through most of the causes of gender-based violence in Uganda.
Okay, thank you, Sam, and thank you, our viewers. We categorize the causes at different levels. And we'll see that there are those causes that are really at individual level. Then we have those that are at relationship level. And then we have those that we are going to look at a community level and then society level. And when we look at like the individual, between me and you, we were discussing and we said, you asked that question, when these rights of women are being violated, let's say in a home, are the children really witnessing? And I said, yes. So some individuals have become violent, and they actually meant violence against their colleagues, their partners, just because they've witnessed it. We've seen violence caused by rejecting parents, where a child has been rejected by one of the parents, and especially the fathers, because the mother will not say, this is not my daughter, this is
very hard for a mother to say no.
This is not my daughter, this is not my son. But it happens, especially where the men are rejecting the children, and then the abuse of substances like alcohol, marijuana. All those cause a lot of instability in the minds of the people that are actually involved in violence against women. Some men will feel more energetic after abusing, let's say, marijuana to hit their colleagues, and they end up doing that because they are under the influence of such substances. And then at relationship level, we're going to look more at the marital fights that we already talked about. And in most cases, it comes up as a result of men wanting to have control over their counterparts, the women, and they want to be the decision makers. They want to control the wealth of the family, even when it has been accumulated as a team, or even when it is the woman who brought in the money, but the man will feel he has the right to control and make decisions about what wealth they have, how it has to be used, how it is maybe distributed in case of anything. And then when we look at community level, and now we are looking at like the general situation, you've seen that a lot of poverty is going on.
Of course, poverty.
Children have been forced into marriages for the sake of their parents getting money. That is violence against.
I know that on most of in village areas, not in Kampala.
Even in Kampala, you will find it. You've seen stories on Bouquet Day where the groom has been chased or arrested for the groom and father of the girl being arrested for marrying off a young girl. You've seen these stories. So it is not actually gender-based violence. Has no space, so to say. It will attack you whether you're economically well or poor.
Yeah.
It will attack you in all angles, and it doesn't have class. Even the educated and the non-educated, the women will face the same battering by their husbands, whether educated or not. They will face the same control of their wealth, whether they are educated or not. Though when we come to the initiatives that government has come up with, and also like the non-government organizations, they've been mostly like centered in urban areas. Most of these pilot projects will be in urban areas and forgetting about the rural, though the vice cuts across, it doesn't matter. And then we'll see that unemployment is also one other cause of the unending struggles and fights within our community. We've seen trafficking of girls. You've read about that. Why do you think most of our girls are being trafficked? They're looking out for better employment. They're looking out for a source of income. Most of them who are not employed actually are trying to make ends meet. And at the end of the day, they end up being trafficked, and their kidneys pulled out, others are brought back dead, others actually are out there. You will see on WhatsApp.
Others have killed themselves.
Others have committed suicide, yes, true, and you've seen others who have actually like partially gone mad, recordings of such, I think you've seen them, and most of these that appear, if you've been following, these are girls, women. I've not seen any man saying that he had gone to work as a maid in Saudi Arabia and right now.
But the video have been always coming out that when men are always tortured in those Arab countries.
Yes, they are, but majority.
Okay,
the majority that we've seen. So, like we said earlier, violence, gender-based violence doesn't only affect women. It also affects men, but the bigger percentage of the population that is affected is the female than the male. And then we've also seen issues of peer influence, where someone says, you know what, I'll beat my woman if she does ABCD. Me, I'll force her into this. No, a woman can never say no to me. So someone feels, okay, so if my colleague is saying this, then it should also work on my side. And then when we look at the society generally, and we go back to our cultural traditions and norms, you see that there are those norms that grant men more power against the women. Against the women. So like men will feel like it is their right to be who they are and do what they do, because society allows that. Society has granted that to be. Society has placed a man above a woman. Society has looked at a woman as an object for the benefit of a man. So that's why you see a man will be like, hey, your place is in the kitchen. You must go and cook. You must go and do ABCD. If you cooked as a man, really, what would happen?
But we grew up when we mothers, they're the ones who enter the kitchen. Why should the father enter the kitchen?
You're younger than me. I grew up from a home where we all did the same work.
Yeah.
So that's why I told you it's attitude and choice. We were raised to know that I can do everything. I must cook. I must herd cattle, I must fetch water, I must slash the compound, I must clean up, I must wash. My brothers were taught the same. They do it.
Yeah.
They do it. Even at the age at which they are, in their homes. You'll find my brother washing his dishes, and the wife is probably resting or doing some other thing. And for us, it's normal. But the homes where you'll enter, and if a man is found washing dishes,
Yeah.
that man has been bewitched. This woman is impossible. She has bewitched someone's son. She's controlling.
Yeah, she's
just
a dictator.
because she's a dictator.
Yeah.
And if you're very unlucky and you're a lawyer and from FIDA, they will say now, those FIDA women, those lawyers. Yet in actual sense, that is not the truth. If society can look at it in a different way to know that an empowered woman is an empowered economy.
Sure.
Yes. Empower a woman and your economy will be empowered. Because women will be able to multitask. Women will be able to bring on table whatsoever that is for the development of the family, the community. And which is not in most cases the same with men. Men will have that element of selfishness whereby it benefits me, yes, it benefits me. If it doesn't benefit me, then it doesn't work. Yes.
Thank
So
you very
those
much.
are some of the causes that we
Those
have.
are the causes. Then, what can we do to okay, before we go to what can we do, what has so far government done to end gender-based violence?
Like I already said earlier, government has very good laws.
The laws are very good. I also
Has put in
appreciate.
place policies to eliminate the same. Government has even gone ahead, like for example, in police, they went ahead to even set up a gender-based violence table that investigates into crimes of gender-based violence. We can't say that the government hasn't done much, or hasn't done anything. Government has actually tried to do things that we would look at and say, okay, it is good, we appreciate, they have empowered the women. We can see many women in power right now as we speak, in parliament, in good offices. We cannot say nothing has been done by government. Government has really done a lot, but we still have gaps despite the beautiful laws and policies in place and practices that have been put up by institutions and that when you look at what the Ministry of Gender really does, it's a lot to do with the empowerment of the girl child, protection of the girl child, that women, it's a lot that they are doing. But despite all that, there are still gaps and we see gender-based violence on the rise. It's actually increasing despite all those that have been done. And even yes, government has done that, but we've seen several other non-government organizations. I'll specifically talk about FIDA. FIDA has really done a lot. For example, FIDA receives walk-in clients of gender-based violence. And FIDA will walk the journey of justice with the client from the time of receiving them, interviewing them, counseling them. If it's, let's say, a matter that calls for police intervention, FIDA will make sure that the client is in connection with police and follow up that matter. If it's a matter that calls for court, FIDA will do court representation of that client.
Rhona, before you take us to FIDA, I want us to go back to police because we have had very many cases which get lost from police, whereby victims are being told, maybe when the perpetrators have been rich, they always provide money, then cases get disappeared. When these victims come to police, sometimes they always make them move a lot. So I don't know what FIDA has done. Like, what do you want to talk about that thing of?
Okay, I cannot say that FIDA we stand to say police receives bribes, does ABCD, but it has been like common knowledge about missing files from police. It's been reported about everywhere. Complaints have been there. It's been like public knowledge that the rich will corrupt the officers.
Yeah.
And I don't want to borrow the language of our president to say that weavers,
The cockroach,
those in every society, you will always have the wrong elements. And even in police, there are those wrong elements.
Yeah.
The wrong elements who will benefit from some other people's pains. And they will go ahead and take bribes from the perpetrators. And like you said, if a woman has moved in and out of police for months, and some others have moved even for years, they will end up giving up on the matter. And that's why you see, you will hear stories like, if you watch TV a lot and you've seen cases of the man has murdered the wife. Recently, a man hit the wife on the head, and it was because of the house that the woman had contributed so much to, and the man wanted to marry another woman in that home,
in the same house.
in that house, sending away the woman who had contributed to it. So people in the background were saying, but these people, even police knew about their issues. Honestly speaking, we find that as negligence on the part of the police, where a matter has been reported and you do not do anything to the extent of the couple, one killing the other, and then you come up to take a dead body for investigations. Yeah, those things do happen.
Yeah.
And files get lost. Files disappear. And the disappearance of files, since files don't have legs to walk away from the cabins, that means they are aided out of the cabins
by any of the officers, or anyone
within the system, who keeps the file away, and you cannot find it. That file will disappear because it's not where it's supposed to be. It is somewhere it is not supposed to be. Those things do happen.
But they also, beside police, there's also the judicial system whereby they say that they always pay.
I wouldn't also ably or say with proof that it happens, but I will also follow suit with the talks that we've had, with what we've seen in the media, with the testimonies of victims who have come up and said, I have gone to court several times, I have been there, my case has been adjourned for I don't know how many days. And the challenge is, or what stakeholders or duty bearers do not know, is the fact that whenever they have a discussion with a perpetrator and money exchanges hands, to the perpetrator, that's pride. They go out there and talk about it. Definitely. You see, me, I can do anything. That judge, I'll do, me, I know, you just continue. You will see. Now, even if the judge has not been bribed, I'm not actually trying to cover for the judicial officers, but what I'm saying is, even if the judicial officer has not been bribed or has not taken a bribe per se, there are those weavers in between the client or the victims and the judicial officer. We have the court processes in there, which have clerks, we have the court orderlies, we have the secretaries in there, who will tell the victims, if you want your case to be heard, you know what, you have to do like the other person did. This person gave the big man money, and the matter, this money does not even get to the judicial officers meanwhile. Money, yes, exchanges hands, but none of them will stand up and say, I went to judge so and so and handed over money. They will tell you, someone at court told me they would help me reach the judge. So that someone, those people in between there, are the ones who have caused a lot of mistrust in the judicial system. Though there is also another fact that we cannot run away from, that even within the judiciary, there could be those weavers per se. I'm just trying to borrow the language of our president, where that contamination, we are calling it weavers, those weavers within the judiciary that might taint the name. But otherwise, if there weren't those third parties that cause deviations, and then distract the clear path for the victims and the perpetrators, then blindfold them with the fact that if you do not do this, you have to go behind the door for your case to go through. There are judges who have actually stood out against gender-based violence. There's Justice Batema.
Sure.
Justice Batema
What did he do?
is male, but he will stand out and walk in the shoes of a woman who is a victim of violence. And he will never be compromised. He has gone out to even educate people. If you've seen the judge in Mukono, Justice Margaret Mutonyi, she doesn't take these cases as lightly as some people might think. And even in the process of handling them, she is actually one of the most proactive judges that I know, me as a person, who will know that this is a sensitive case, and she will give it the kind of treatment it deserves. If it calls for hearing of the witnesses in camera, she will do that. If it's a child victim and it calls for her hearing the child alone with just a few people and the child is very well protected, she will go ahead and do that. And that's why I'm telling you the issue of attitude also here matters and not in Uganda.
Thank you very much, Rhona. Then for all those judges that she has mentioned, thank you so much for doing a great job. Then we want to know more what FIDA do for these victims of gender-based violence.
Okay, okay. FIDA as an institution, like I told you, we receive working clients, we do mediations at office, we do represent these victims in courts of law. We escort and work with them this journey of justice, like in police, and then for those that call for referral, we refer them to the next step. We do a lot of community sensitization, whereby we involve now both male and female. We bring on board the men, and we also have school programs where we have school clubs, and we empower these children, both male and female, to be able to fight against this vice and also understand their rights and respect them and respect the rights of others. We also, as FIDA, we do a lot of documentation, capturing stories of victims and using the same voices of victims to lobby for policy change. And if you've noticed, we are always here and there when it comes to women's rights, and we do engage policymakers. We always have our victims brought together, and probably we create a space with policymakers like members of parliament to interface with them and listen to their problems, listen to their issues. Like I told you, we already as FIDA pioneered the establishment of special courts, which will be specifically addressing cases of gender-based violence. And FIDA has also gone ahead to train community legal volunteers. And for these community legal volunteers, they're like the first point of contact for the victims. Not everyone...
They're like VHTs.
Now, like you see that VHTs in the medical world. So we also have community legal volunteers who do sensitization, who do mediations, who do referrals, who support these victims. Like if they want to go to police and they don't know where to start from, or they're scared of going there, they will walk the journey with them. And they will make sure that the victims get justice. We do a lot of counseling of these victims, besides the mediations that we do with probably if it's a domestic violence that hasn't really gone really that bad. We do counseling of parties. Now this also will, men will also benefit from our counseling, because we don't just counsel the women alone, but we do it with the men who are the perpetrators of these crimes. FIDA implemented a project on ending violence against women with Action Aid, and created shelters for these victims in eastern Uganda. And currently those shelters are being manned by ActionAid, but these are centers where women would come and they have like a place to sleep, they will get what to eat as they are processing their cases, either in court or at police, or trying to mediate between the parties to make sure that they get back together. And also, like, if it's a mother with children, at least they have where to sleep. And those shelters are still there and functioning.
Then thank you so much, Rhona. Then I want you to tell us more. How does somebody come to FIDA, or how do we approach FIDA? How can we reach to FIDA to give us a hand if I'm a victim?
If you're a victim, actually, like I was saying earlier, people will hear about FIDA from friends, from community sensitizations. Like, we also do legal, mobile legal clinics. We move from place to place. Like, we reach out to the communities, educate them and listen to their cases from their communities. During those times, people get to know about FIDA, and then we always give our addresses. Like here, I said we are at Mbuya, our secretariat is at Mbuya. They're like after the magistrate's court of Nakawa, going up, like you're going to the barracks. There, we are just directly opposite the UPDF petrol station there. And also we do radio talk shows and TV shows. People get to know us, and we get also referrals. Police will refer people to FIDA. Courts will refer people to FIDA. Yes, there are people who directly go to court, but they do not know what to do. So when they get to court, the court officials will refer them to FIDA. We also have other institutions that refer people to us, and there are those who walk in and someone is just moving, they have their issues, but when they see the signpost of FIDA, they branch and say, I have this problem. And we receive everyone, the women and children. We also receive the men, but help them, guide them on where to go. We don't send the men away when they come. Like if it's an issue of court representation, we'll let them know that we cannot represent them as FIDA, but we'll refer them, like, for example, we can send them to Uganda Law Society, where they can easily be helped, or any other institution, depending on what their problem is, to be helped.
Then, for me to get help from FIDA, if I'm a victim and I'm a female victim, do I need to pay for everything that you guys are going to do for me to the end?
No, you don't pay. We don't charge fees, but there's a small registration cost, about 5,000, that comes with the opening of the file, and that's all that one pays. If it's court, we do go to court without any further payments. We don't ask you to pay for filing of those court papers. If we have to make movements, you don't have to pay us to make the movements. FIDA is supported by DGF to pay lawyers salaries that help keep them running as they do this pro bono work. It's purely pro bono, and it's a holistic one. We also do economic empowerment of these victims or women that come to us. Not all of them we do, but we are like trying to scale up. We started off one in Luwero, where we are doing economic empowerment of women to see that, like we said, some of the causes, these economic situations. So you realize that women who have been economically empowered have less cases reported and issues.
Hope you have heard it all from Rhona from FIDA. Remember, she is a senior legal officer. If you need her, you can just go to FIDA-Uganda and ask for her. They will easily link you up with her. Then you have heard whatever FIDA does. Don't there sit at home and the man tortures you. Just walk into FIDA, you'll be given a hand. Remember, the registration fee is only 5,000 shillings, which is friendly.
And not all must pay. It all depends. Like I said, yes, it all depends. Because if we cannot reject a client just because they cannot afford it. But the 5,000 is really to help, you know, like this is a donor support. we are supported by donors, so the little fee that comes through for buying fires and
stationaries,
not even that, because 5,000 can't really buy stationery that is going to take. It's just that fee that is meant to like help the files keep coming in. Just that.
How many places do you receive in a month?
It all depends on the situation. We can sometimes we'll receive even more than 100 clients in a month. Sometimes you'll receive 50, sometimes you'll receive 40, sometimes you'll receive 30, but it's very rare that we'll receive less than 30.
What are your last word to the viewers? Because if you talk until tomorrow.
Yes, my last word to our dear viewers is that it is our responsibility, mine and yours, to end violence against women. And the more we think positively about the contributions that women make to the development of the country, the more respect we accord the women, the better it will get for us economically, as individuals and as a country. Let us together work towards ending violence against women.
Thank you so much, Rhona. Still, my last point would be, my responsibility is your responsibility. Stop gender-based violence against women. Together we can play a very big role to end violence in Uganda and the entire country, or even the entire world. Gender-based violence, sometimes they get tortured psychologically. Put yourself in this victim's shoes. What if you are the one and you are seeing that the numbers are becoming high? And stop gender-based violence. Let us keep it silent. Don't violate somebody's right, because if you don't want your right to be violent, you don't ever violate somebody's right. Then nobody's here every Saturday, every single Saturday. Very soon things are going to be changing. And thank you so much for seeing or watching. Share the video, tell a friend to like the Facebook page. Thank you so much. Till next, see you till next time. Bye bye.